Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. In case you didn't know, that's Emily Blunt on the screen. And the usual question, would I ever go with her? Not a chance. She's not an American, she's British, but even though she comes from London, down south. But if you listen to her, you wouldn't know that she's British because she's gone totally native. She's married to an American who's naturally 6 foot tall, and she's got 2 children. But apart from that, I've not seen anything that she's been in, and there's something about her that just annoys me, irritating. She looks friendly enough, as you can see. I've seen her on a few American TV interview shows on YouTube, and she just sounds like one of these annoying American Hollywood women. So I wouldn't even think of going near her. Besides, she's an inch and a bit taller than me, but she's attractive, but then so are a lot of other women, but nah. Plus the fact that she's very pally with Dwayne Johnson, and a lot of Americans I've noticed and seen think that he's just an egotistical arsehole. So you judge by the company you keep, and I'd keep well away from her. Anyway, enough about Emily. One of the commentators on a previous video from last week asked me about divorce rates in 2019 and the rates for divorce from 2019 to 2020 and 2025, so I told him I'd had a look around, and I found this. As you can see, it's a site called USA Facts, and it more or less gives the commentator all the information that he knows. As you can see, this was done on February the 11th this year, and it says fewer Americans are marrying than before, and when they do, they marry later in life. And it's got the usual thing, US adults are less likely to be married than at almost any point since the Census Bureau began tracking marital status in 1940 during the war. Fewer people are marrying, and they're doing it later. Both men and women are older when they first tie the knot. And then it goes down to a graph. You know I like graphs. He asked for 2019, so 48.2% of Americans are marrying in 2019. Now, as you know, MGTOW kicked off in 2020, which was 52.8% of Americans marrying. So 52.8, and then 2023, 47. That's a drop of about 5%, which is quite a drop, but we're in 2025 now, so about here. Though if the marriage rate continues dropping, it would be on this level, which would be around 42%. So that's a 10% drop in marriage from when MGTOW kicked off to today. As you can see, the peak of marriage in America was in the 1950s, when America was good, plenty of work, manufacturing for lots of people, and the American way of life was admirable around the world. But then in the 1960s, we got third wave feminism kicking off. 1979, 1980, we got fourth wave feminism kicking off. And then, no, I tell a lie, around about 1990, fourth wave feminism kicked off. And then MGTOW was a reaction to it. And then, as you can see, the marriage rate is dropping. If you drop down, how has the average age of marriage changed over time? Both men and women are marrying later in life in 2024. The average age for first marriage was 30.2 years for men and 28.6 for women. You notice women are getting closer to the wall. So we drop down to another graph. That's the first rate marriage. Now, once again, America, I've covered this before, but with women, you notice in the 1950s, 1949, post-war, everything's gone in America. Women were marrying at 20.3, and then 20.1, 1956, the year I was born, and then we had the 60s, burn your bra and all that nonsense. These started creeping up, women's liberation, 65, 20.6, then second wave feminism kicked off, 20.8, and then 74, when it really kicked off. You notice the age is going up, I don't need no man, and then it goes up exponentially within, what was it, 21%, goes up 1% in just 2 years. Women 1985, 23%. The 20s, riding the cock carousel, 24%. 1994, when fourth wave feminism kicked off. And then 2005, 2000, when MGTOW started, average age was 25. And then it started climbing up till we get to 28.4, when women are approaching the wall and they've seen that their options are decreasing, so they're desperate to get married. Get rid of that. And then it says, what does the likelihood of marriage vary by race and ethnicity? We drop down to another graph, and as you can see, the 1960 with white people, white guys, and then it drops down to 54 with white, but you notice the African American, black men leading the way. 2000 MGTOW kicks off. 1999, 41% of black, a little bit of a hike there. 2002, then the black guys saw what black women will really like with social media, and you notice our African American brothers dropping down till only 37.8% of African American men are getting married. And actually, this is 2020, so 2025 is about here, so it could be bumping along maybe around about 38-39% of African American men are marrying. Hispanic men, you could say the same, 48%. White guys tend to be leveling off, but this is only 2020, and Asians are very marriage orientated and still 60.8%. It says the biggest decrease in marriage rate is among Hispanic men and women. Marriage rate for Hispanic men decreased 10.3% point from men from 1990 to 2024, and for Hispanic women 11.3%. Now, Hispanic men also have seen what effects of divorce is, and they know what MGTOW is about, so they decided they're going to go down that road, and they're not going to lose half the stuff to a Hispanic woman. And then it says the marriage rate for white men dropped from 62.8% in 1990 to 54% in 2024. 54 to 60, that's an 8% drop, 9% drop amongst white guys who are no doubt going their own way as MGTOWs. And saying what percentage of Americans are divorced or widows. The share of divorced men and women has increased in 1950 to 2%, when divorce was looked down upon, and 2% for men and 2.4% for women were divorced in 2024. These figures are 8.4% for men and 10.8% for women. And then we drop down to another bar graph. The women married, men married, women divorced, men divorced. But this is the interesting one. Men never married. In 1950, 26.4% of American men were never married. But in 2024, 36.9%, say 37%. So 26 to 36, that's an 11% climb, or they say 10.5%, round it off to 11%. And then we get all the other things. What do women live longer than men in America? What does marriage vary by state? Let's just have a look at that. We got the Washington DC and Utah, the highest marriage rates, and you just pick whatever state you're living in if you are an American. Anyway, get back to that. Now that is the side I found for that commentator. I also found this. It's Wilkinson and Finkbeiner. It's lawyers, but notice where they are. San Diego, Orange County, right next door to Los Angeles, right in the middle of California. The belly of the beast, you should say. Now, this is a really long article. I'm not going to go through it, just little bits. But these lawyers are seeing the way the wind's blowing in divorce rates, and they're no doubt advertising for their services. Practicing areas, child support, and child support based on timeshare, yada yada yada. I'll naturally leave all these links below so you can look at it at your leisure. Parents' gross income, one parent's ability to earn, each party's tax filing status, number of minor children. Now, if you drop back, it says there were 630,550 divorces in 2020 at a rate of 2.3 per thousand people. That represents a decline of nearly 16% from 2019. But if the record numbers of men are not getting married, then naturally the divorce rate will go down. So the largest single year decline since at least 2000, while the divorce rate increased by 2.5% per thousand. In 2021, the latest year data is available, the figure is still significantly lower than the previous years. So if you go back to that, where's the divorce rate? Not marrying. Did they have a graph of divorce? It probably reverts to that. Men divorced, women divorced. 8.4%, 6.4%. So it's more or less in line with that graph. The divorce rate by year. So we get 2000 when MGTOW kicked off. Divorce rate, marriage rate dropping. There was a precipitous drop in 2020. I wonder why. That could be with the pandemic, the false lockdown and testing the waters, and the divorce rate, guys seem stuck at home and seeing what the wife is really like, so naturally they were divorcing, and it ticked up a bit. There you go. He was living with his wife 24/7. He saw what she was really like, or she saw what he was like, and they decided the marriage is not for them. But they get a marriage on the rebound, so to speak. But anyway, it says the latest available marriage rate in America was 6.0% per thousand in the population in 2021. The same year, the divorce rate in America was 2.5% per thousand population, with 44 states and DC reporting. This is known as the crude divorce rate. And as 2021, both marriage rates and divorce rates in America are decreasing. Well, there's not many people getting married, so naturally the divorce rates will go down, and the marriage rate dropping from 8.2% per thousand people in 2000 to 6.1, and the divorce rate from 4.2 in 2000 to 2.7. So the divorce rate's going down, but not many people are getting married, so naturally it will go down. And then US divorce rate per 1,000 women, rate 1,000 married women. Currently the divorce rate per 1,000 American women is 16.9%. 16.9, many experts feel it is much more accurate measure of the true divorce rate than the crude rate. And then almost 50% of marriages in America will end in divorce or separation. And 41% of all first marriages end in divorce. 60% of second marriages end in divorce. And 73% of all third marriages end in divorce. And America has the 6th highest divorce rate in the world. The top one is Russia, then Belarus, then Gibraltar. That's surprising. Then there's America, Moldova, Lithuania, Belgium, Cuba, Czech Republic. Where's Britain? Oh, we're not on that. Anyway, it says how often divorce takes place in America. Every 42 seconds there's one divorce in America. This equates to 86 divorces per 2,046 divorces per day. 14,364 divorces per week, and 746,971 divorces per year. So you could say 746,971 American men have realized that marriage is just a loaded game, and they go their own way and become MGTOWs. But in the opposite way, there's every 16 seconds of the marriage in America, 230 marriages per hour, 38,762 per week, and 2,015,603 per year. But you can subtract that figure from that figure every year, and that is going down. Remember how I started this channel with MGTOW, how it's affecting the marriage industry. There are 3 divorces in the time it takes a couple to recite their wedding vows, 2 minutes. And then we go all sorts of stats and statistics. Who is getting divorced? Average age of couples going through the first divorce is 30 years old. 60% of all divorces involve individuals 25 to 39. Wives are the ones who most often file to divorce, 66% on average. That figure has soared to nearly 75% in some years. And then professions with the highest divorce rate: dancers, bartenders, massage therapists, gaming cage workers, gaming service workers. Dancers and bartenders, the women, they have access to men riding the carousel. Bartenders have access to women, and they get tempted and ride the carousel. Professions with the lowest divorce: farmers, whatever that is, clergy, optometrists, that's eyes, and agricultural engineers. And then we go on and on and on. The divorce rate by ethnicity: whites, African Americans, Asians, Hispanic Americans. And then military divorce rate: 3.4% of American service personnel divorce in the year. Well, the guy's away on a postings, and the wife gets tempted and she starts to play around. Maybe get knocked up by another guy, and then that's an issue for divorce. Divorce rates among enlisted troops is 3.8%, among officers 1.9%. In the American Air Force, the highest divorce rate, that's surprising, among enlisted troops of any military branch, 4.3%. The divorce rate amongst US Navy SEALs, Special Forces, over 90%. Bloody hell. And then same-sex divorces. The 1% of married same-sex couples divorce each year. About 2% of married straight couples divorce. And as you can see, on and on and on. Down, down, down. Divorce, child support and child custody. 43% of children in America are being raised without their fathers. That's where a lot of problems in American society has come about. When the parents are happily married, the risk of divorce of their children decreases by 14%. 90% of divorced mothers have custody of their children. Over 79% of custodial mothers receive child support award, while just under 30% of custodial fathers receive one. Notice the difference in percentages. 65% of divorced mothers receive no child support. Is that child his? Over 46% of non-custodial mothers completely default on child support, compared to only 20% of non-custodial fathers. And then more stuff. Financial effects of divorce, toll takes, bonus, most expensive divorces of all time. And that's it. That is a lawyer who's seen the wind blowing in the MGTOW way, and they want to get their fingers in the pie so they can earn some money. If you're single, I found this is quite interesting. This is a KBTX3. That's a Texan TV station based in a place called Byron. The bit which is interesting is this. For unmarried buyers, the numbers are significantly higher. Single men spend 67% of their income on housing. Single women in America are spending 92% of their income on housing. Now, a single guy doesn't need a thing like that. A small 2-bedroom apartment would do for a single guy. There's only him. He doesn't need fancy furniture, but a single woman wants that as something like a status symbol. So that's why women want to get hitched up with guys, and then the guy pays for the house. She divorces him, takes half the stuff and the house, and she's got a status symbol for free. And if things get tight, she can always sell the house, and she's got cash rich, and the guy has to manage on what he's got left. That's why guys are not wanting to get married. They lose half the stuff. And in the case of children, going back to get that there. Going back to that, the custodial mother completely default in child support. 90% of divorced mothers have custody of their children. Now, I found this looking around. This is Walmart. If you've got a Walmart in your local area and your partner, girlfriend, wife, whatever, is pregnant, you can test by $5.60. You save $9.38. It's a paternity test for home. Complete the parent information, pay, swab, mail, and you get the results. You pay $5.60 for peace of mind if you're worried that the child might be yours or might not be yours. So if it isn't yours, then you save child support by paying £5.60. Once more, we get to that. 43% of children in America are being raised without their fathers. Is that 43% their biological fathers or not? But anyway, I think I'm on the 20-minute mark now, so it all boils down to Marriage has changed over time in America. People like this have seen this writing on the wall and things are changing, and they get business out of it. But single women are spending nearly all the money on housing. That's why they want to get a guy to pay for the house, then she can divorce him and get the house for herself. But if the guy's smart, he'll get this and find out any children that's coming along, whether he's the father or not. Then he misses out on this, and this. I won't be doing one next week because I've got a doctor's appointment at 10:20 to get a referral to get me tinnitus fixed, hopefully. So it'll probably be the week after next Monday. But for now, all know the routine, like this comment and all the rest of it. It's completely up to you. So until a week on Monday, that's it from me. Bye bye.